Hello everybody and welcome to the channel. Bob Sales this time's next year. So I wasn't actually planning on doing a video like this today, I must admit. I've been pumping them out this week like this, and I am actually working on a drop history right now. I'm actually working on the Lion King. Hate to spoil it, but I thought I'd get that one out of the way now and get it done early. And then of course, what do Veve do? They release two great drops. So of course they've released one of the Star Wars fighters. I have no idea about Star Wars, I must admit, so I can't really give you any advice on that drop. I hope it's about 40 to 50 gems most. Now, we do know with some of them fighters, some of the ships, they were expensive at the time. I think one comes to mind, I think it was 120 gems. And I don't think that was even Star Wars at the time. So I hate to think what these ships are going to be. But looking at the article, looking at the ship itself, it does actually look like the ship's going to be animated, I would say. From the description, it does say fully interactive, and it does say about the guns and stuff on the fighters. So I'm hoping it's going to be kind of like Ed, where it fires rockets and stuff. So yeah, that would be cool. And then the other one's Green Lantern. So I know a bit about Green Lantern. He was actually one of the first DC heroes. But again, it's Green Lantern. For me, Green Lantern's not one of the best heroes in the world, I must admit. Not one of my favorites. Definitely not one of the first heroes you think of when it comes to superheroes, for instance. And I mean the Ring of Power or whatever it is. Now, the collectible itself does look great, I must admit. The animation looks great, and it's good to see an animation with sound. Let's go, Veve. Animation with sound. I like to see that. So I'm quite happy with that. Obviously, no articles yet. Whether or not I'm going to be able to fit the drop histories in on them, I don't know, because as I say, it does take a couple of days. But yeah, they have actually give you a few more days than they normally give you on these things. So I appreciate that, Veve. It looks like you might have actually listened to me finally. Because sometimes creating these videos does take a couple of days. I mean, this Lion King one, for instance, I've been on this 2 days. But the idea was to make this now, so then when I drop the article, I'm not totally screwed trying to rush around for a video. It's the Lion King. I have to do a Bullish video on the Lion King, right? Even if it does look like it was half a copy. But that video will get into that. I mean, if you haven't heard of Kimber the Lion yet, you're about to. And some of the comparisons I've put together, some of the side-by-sides, I mean, it's hard to argue that some of them panels were not stolen. But again, we'll get into that on the next video. So this video was mainly about a space last night. So Twitter space last night. I think it was the... So my phone just rang, and that's completely thrown me off of where I actually was now. So the reason for this chat, in a way, it wasn't to talk about the drops. It wasn't to talk about drop histories. It wasn't to complain. It's to talk about the Veve-verse, baby. The Veve-verse. So I never thought I'd be so happy. But last night, we heard from some of the beta testers. Now, I think the Twitter space was from the vaultoholicks group. So they did actually make the space. There was about 500 people in the space at one point. It was a big space, and it was big reasons for that big space. So they were talking about testing the beta of the Veve-verse. So Veve have actually given some of these people permission to speak about what they tested. Whether or not they was allowed to speak about everything they were testing, I'm not 100% sure, because they started a conversation and then they stopped halfway. So these notes I've written down, I was literally jotting them down at the time, and they're very rough. So if they don't even make sense to me, it wouldn't surprise me. None of the spelling's right. And it is going to look like I'm reading through this portion. But I did take some notes down, and I did forget to record the space. So hopefully this is actually going to help explain some of the things that they went over. So one of the first things they mentioned was all different shapes available. So there's bricks in there for building. You don't have to pay for any of this extra stuff. It's already there by sounds of it. Whether or not when we all get in there, whether or not you're going to have to earn that through doing certain things in the vault, maybe you could do that as a certain utility. The more you do in there, the more stuff you have access to using. But that's a whole different video in itself. But yeah, so they did mention a thing about all different shapes available for bricks for building. So you could literally get triangle bricks, you could get square bricks. So there's a lot of stuff already in there for you to build your house in the Veve-verse. So the second one, there's multiple different rooms. So you can have multiple different rooms, multiple different vaults, and it don't seem to look like it's having a problem. Some of these people mentioned having 14 vaults already. So that's good news. The next one is marble finish, so different materials. They did already say about the different materials, but this confirms that some of the stuff in there, some of the objects, some of the household objects, say you can change the finish to marble finish. So that's great. So it does look like you're going to be able to change certain materials in there for certain things. So tables and stuff, maybe you can have a marble table. So the next one's the glass with the shine lighting effects. So a lot of people were saying about the glass in there. There's glass in the Veveverse, and adjusting the lighting on the glass itself can actually make the glass look 10 times better or 10 times worse. But they stress there's a lot of options for modifying the glass light and stuff like that, shining effects. So that does sound really good, really intuitive to me. It sounds like we're going to get a bit more than we thought. Now, we did see them playing with the lights in the Veveverse. Looked kind of laggy to me at the time, but apparently everything's smooth. So the next one is... So the next obvious one. So apparently everything in the Veveverse, everyone agrees, everyone that was in that space that used the Veveverse space agrees that all the collectibles, all the items look 10 times better in the Veveverse. 10 times better in the Veveverse. And they did put this down to the lightings and some of the room effects and stuff like that. I mean, one of the examples used, for instance, was a Golden Moments room. Someone actually built a Golden Moments room, put loads of nice lighting in there and stuff like that. And they all said the room, the gold looks amazing in there. The gold looks like a darkish. You can make it look like a pirate's gold color in there. So that sounds really bullish. So for Golden Moments members that have been looking forward to displaying that room for ages, it does look like that's going to be one of the best rooms in the Veveverse, right? So obviously we did already know you could join each other's rooms, but this just confirms that it's actually happening right now. People have been joining each other's rooms, taking tours. There's in-room chats. So as we see in the Veveverse demo, there was them little screen chat things. Admittedly, they didn't look too great at the time. The guy kept disappearing. I think that was more down to his green screen, more than the actual device itself. But yes, you can do the in-room chats. You can stream from there. You can have group chats in the Veveverse on TV screens in someone else's vault. So one of the other things mentioned was everything seems to be running smooth. So everything seems to be going smooth. I mean, I don't know how much more you can explain that, but as we see it, the demo definitely didn't go smooth. At one point, Dan disappeared halfway into the floor and stuff like that. It was quite glitchy to get the camera angle. Even when he tried to get it to walk, it was a bit funny, disappeared into the stairs and stuff like that. So yeah, everything seems to be on the right track to being smooth. A lot of these people said it was definitely smooth. There wasn't no glitching. There wasn't no disappearing. There wasn't none of that problem. So it does look like they may have fixed that. Some of these people were saying about the types of computers they were using. Some of these computers wasn't brand new. Some of them have been 3-4-year-old computers. It seems like you don't have to have the best computer in the world to be able to run this. And there's also a way to change your quality in there as well. So if you've got a bit of a rubbish computer, you can run it at a bit of a lesser quality to then stop using all your bandwidth and stuff like that. Obviously, the other users will see it at their quality on their PC. You can also turn on solid and unsolid objects. So when you're taking a picture in your Veveverse, or when you've got objects in front of one of your items, for instance, if you really want to take a picture of that item or whatever, you can literally turn, say, the table in front of it invisible if you want, so you can take a solid picture without moving anything in your showroom. Where are we next? So the next one's collectibles under the light look really amazing. As I explained with the Golden Moments, I think I've already done that one. And the bottom one as well, the gold is glistening. They all stress how nice the gold looks under the lights. I think these Golden Moments are going to pump. In fact, I think all these collectibles are going to pump, but we'll get to that. So it is in fact Oculus ready as well. So it has been mentioned straight away that people have actually been using their Oculuses already. So we are going to actually be able to use all that sort of stuff. Hopefully that's the same for Apple Vision Pro. MetaQuest coming out too. I think it's MetaQuest 2. More affordable one, but again, until they come down, it's not going to be a mass market until they come down. But I do know people that are very bullish on them. So I know Bounder Yo, for instance, he's definitely getting one 100,000,000%. He can't wait to use one. One of the other things they did mention, and I really need to stop saying one of the other things they did mention, was fly mode. So we did see in the Veveverse they had the fly mode, which is actually how Dan chose to go around his vault with the fly mode. So apparently the fly mode is really good. You can get any angle of any collectible, and it seems like it's a lot smoother than what we've initially seen. It sounds like it's really easy to use. So some of the people that actually got put into testing were not vault builders yet, not used to building in their vaults, don't really play in their vaults too much, and yet they've had no struggles and they've not stopped playing with their vaults since. Apparently you can do all sorts in your vaults and it's pretty easy. Apparently, if you know how to use a PC, the simple functions of a PC, you should be able to work the Veveverse, build a decent vault with no problems. So they did actually say that since using the Veveverse web app, none of them have actually used their phone app since. In fact, one of them commented and said, "What is the phone app? I literally don't remember a phone app anymore. Like, you're telling me there's a phone app for this?" It's that good, apparently. One of the members also listed import your own textures. So saying about putting our own textures in the Veveverse itself. So that's pretty cool. Now, one of the sentiments gave, I did write this one down. So everyone was excited. I must admit, everyone sounded bullish as hell on this, right? But one explained that it's like opening a bottle of champagne and shaking it up. That's what it's going to be like to everyone's brain when it comes out. Now, it was mentioned that existing avatars, Ready Player Me avatars, stuff like that, and some that had branded NFT clothes have actually been exported into the Veveverse with no effort whatsoever. So your already built avatars you will be able to use. Now, I slacked on that. I haven't actually built one. I think I've got one in spatial, but I mean, I think I'm a girl and a black one at that. So I've definitely not set that up, and I have no clothes. And I did hear one of the members say, right, I'm not gonna comment too much about this. I mean, if you got money, you do what you like. But I did hear one of the members already trying to flex on some of his clothes, what he brought for the Veveverse, for instance. And to me, it sounded like it was a complete toff when he said that. So that was not a good look. And then at the same time, I buy Armani trousers. I buy stuff like that myself. So my jeans essentially cost me about £130 for a pair of jeans, which is about $165, I think, maybe around there somewhere. So yeah, for a pair of jeans, it's a bit stupid, but I am fussy with my jeans. Whereas t-shirts, I wear a £10 t-shirt. Although today I would be wearing a Stone Island one, wouldn't I? But yeah, Veveverse clothes. So yes, I want to look cool in the Veveverse. Am I willing to spend $80 on an NFT t-shirt to get in there, or some nice night trainers? I'm not sure. Helix Metaverse did have a nice pair of trainers on there, and I would have bought them trainers in a heartbeat. And obviously that goes on your NFT, that goes on your avatar in the game of Helix. So on that sense, okay, maybe I've changed my mind a little bit on that one. But yeah, he did essentially say you can export your characters already made and with different NFTs on, like clothes, for instance. So all of that went in fine, no issues. Now, a couple of the other key points I noticed, right? So these are little tips right now. So a couple of people spoke about a collectible that has minimal movement, minimal animation, but you can actually expand it. So I'm thinking this is going to be, which one? We get it back up. I'm sure it's Lolita. Yeah. Is it Lolita Tara McPherson? 1 second. Let me just check. Let me be right with my information. Yeah, so I'm guessing it's going to be the Lolita. Right, so I'm guessing it's going to be the Lolita. It's the green girl coming out of the black pool of water. The one that has poison in her breast, according to the description. Yeah, that actually says that. One of them spoke about a collectible with small movements. Now, I'm guessing it's this one, right? Because at the time, they described it as a collectible with barely an animation. It's like a slight pull to the water. Now, you can expand the properties of the NFTs. There was a big point made about expanding the particles of the NFTs. So essentially, if they've got water on them, you can expand it. Okay, you can do that in the vault now, but apparently when you do that in the Veveverse, it looks crazy. And when I mean crazy, these people were stressing that there's a collectible. One of the other things was mentioned was a collectible with sand in there. So there is a collectible in the app somewhere that has sand attached to it, maybe a little sandstorm going on. I'm trying to think which one that could be. Maybe Swamp Thing that has a kind of effect. I'm not sure if it's sand, but it has kind of that effect. But one of them was stressing about how great that is. You can literally blow that up and turn your whole Veve Vault showroom into a sandstorm. It's like, it is crazy what you can do. Like the water, for instance, like that water, like you could expand the whole water itself. Now, I'm not sure if the NFT expands with that. The way I read that, the way I was listening to that, was like you could expand the property of the water itself. So the NFT could stay the same, but the water you could turn into a big swamp of black mess right now. If it's the collectible I'm thinking about, anyway. And they did, like I said, they mentioned another one with sand. I'm not sure which one that could be yet. I've been trying to look for it, I must admit. And they said that you could essentially start a sand room with that sandstorm in your Veveverse, and it looks crazy. Different ways to use the movements. You can even use coordination at some point. Not coordination, sorry. You can even use coordinates to mark your stuff and put it in the Veveverse and stuff like that. The select button, so when you're moving stuff in your Veveverse right now, there is that problem where if you put two collectibles too close to each other, sometimes it don't select the right collectible, right? Well, none of these people are having this problem. Apparently it's not happened once in there. You can click what you're looking to click and you can move what you're looking to move. Another big key point was whatever you customize, you can essentially copy and paste with the effects already in. So if you was to expand that collectible we was just talking about with the sand, with the water, you can essentially copy and paste that, and it will essentially be there with the effects already there. You can mute users, which I think is probably a given at this point. So you can mute users. I expect if you can mute them, you can probably block them. You can change your computer settings for the room colors. You can literally change everything in your room, every color in the room. You can change all your wall colors. You can change everything in there. You can literally change everything in there. So all the colors, but one of them was explaining that if you create that and then you send someone else in and they've got a different color setting to you, the colors are not going to show up the same for them. So he did actually warn about changing much of that, because he was like, if you change it and then someone else comes into your room and you've not got the same setup, you're not matching setups, it's actually going to look very strange to them. It's going to look a whole different, completely color to what it looks to you, right? But you can change colors, brightnesses of everything. Another point made was when you open a Veveverse, you actually have it stored and it will show a Veveverse tab with a green logo. So like McFarlane, for instance, if you install McFarlane on your computer, it will show a McFarlane tab once it's installed, right? So what I'm gathering is once you've used the Veveverse, it installs in your computer, kind of like the McFarlane site, the way that does. And then you're going to see a nice little tab at the top, nice green logo, the Veveverse, and it actually says Veveverse. Bullish, we're here, baby. So what else is there? Sorry, I'm getting a bit excited. I've been excited about the Lion King drop, and then all this has come out. So I'm hoping this has not been over talked right now, because again, we're judging based on other people's opinion. All of this is other people's opinions. So to me, it could all be false in my opinions. So we really shouldn't jump too far ahead till we see it ourselves. And then some of this stuff could change. Avatars apparently look really good. They look better than spatial. There's no lagginess. The space looks better than spatial. Sorry, spatial, we'll love you in that. But apparently it looks 10 times better than spatial, 10 times better than we see. Another point made, another key point made, was the inside of collectibles make interesting spaces for another worlds. So some people in the Veveverse right now have actually been building rooms out of Golden Moment statues and using the inside to put their characters inside the Golden Moment statues, and then use that as a potential room, another vault setting. You can expand the Golden Moments, and as we know, most of them are hollow, right? Like you can see the thing with Elsa's toes, mouth, pen, whatever. Some reason she got teeth. Well, imagine living inside Elsa's mouth. I mean, picture it now. You could shrink that up, cover the vault, and you'd have the teeth showing, and you'd essentially have all your NFTs inside the mouth, and your door could be the teeth right now. Like, that is crazy, crazy, crazy. So I did actually jump on a few of these. So yesterday, one of the members also mentioned about going into a different room in the Veveverse, and it was the Avengers Tower. Now, the guy didn't even notice it was the Avengers Tower. It just looked like another room. So I did actually pick up an Avengers Tower. I probably paid too much for it. It was 50 gems at the time. Now, I really didn't want to buy that for 50 gems. I already had one off drop, I must admit. Sold that ages ago. Thought it was a piece of trash at the time. again, Veve Vault, we've all been waiting for the Veveverse, sorry. So again, a lot of that did get sold to then come back to it when it finally come round, if that makes sense. But I did pick one of them up yesterday, and I think more people were picked up. The only thing, that interview was not recorded yesterday. So 500 people definitely heard it. I'm making this video so more people are going to hear it. But I did, in fact, buy 2 of the Avengers Towers yesterday because I bought one to flip and one to keep in the Veveverse, which I never thought I'd say in my life. The other one they mentioned is the Borg cubes. Now, I'm not sure if it was a rare or common. They didn't mention rarities. Now, from what I can gather from both of them, it's just a size difference, right? Now, I did actually buy 2 of the rares, and I did buy 7 of the commons yesterday. The commons were 978, I believe. I think the first ones were 8 gems, and then they went up to 9 gems. And then I think the rare was sitting at about 17 gems at the time. But I started talking about Borg cubes. So again, people were expanding the Borg cubes and then building inside the Borg cube. And I can't stress this enough. Everyone was saying how crazy the Borg cube looked from inside the Borg cube. They were saying that it looks crazy. Like, it looks better inside it than it is outside of it. So the effects looks crazy on that. So I actually, as soon as I heard that, knowing how cheap that Borg cube is, knowing how underrated that was right there, I was just like, right, I'm going to jump into this one now. I'm going to buy a couple of them. Don't own any of them, but I'm going to buy a couple of them. May buy a Tesseract later. Depends on the price, because that, again, a nice blue room, might look like you're in a Superman cave, you know. Trying to think of the name of it. How can I not think of the cave? Superman's cave. Damn it, what is it? Oh, God, what is it called? Oh, forget it. It doesn't matter. But either way, yeah, so you can make that essentially into Superman's cave. But all of these people were saying it's a big thing being able to go inside the collectibles and build inside them. You can build some crazy rooms out of these things right now. And that was one of my biggest takeaways. So I did actually buy 7 of the Borg cubes. I think I brought 2 rares and 7 of the other ones. Now, I might sell the rares because I'm not sure I needed the rares, but I did actually buy a mistake when I was buying the commons at the time. And I bought 2 rares and then realized what I've done. Like a tit. So yeah, I did buy some of them. And I must admit, listening to this chat, I went, as soon as I heard this, I went straight into the VV app and I brought 7 of these cubes. Now, I wasn't the only one. As soon as I started buying some of these cubes, people were buying these off the floor straight away. Now, as soon as I brought my cubes, the common hasn't gone up too much yet, but the rare has actually gone up 5 gems already. And I expect by the time I look at it today, if this video comes out, if more videos like it come out, if the space was recorded, it definitely would have pumped everything right now. So the golden moments, in my opinion, should be pumping. The Avengers Towers should be pumping. All the cars should be pumping, I would have thought, because I can imagine if all the golden moments and stuff look amazing, the cars must look really good, especially Lamborghinis and stuff. So I can imagine sooner or later, there's going to be a massive listing. Like yesterday, for instance, all the floors are low as it is, right? I mean, I think that's down to not being at the price ranges, what people want to sell at. But the floors are going to get even less. Like, I delisted everything on my bobsales normal account yesterday. I delisted everything. Okay, bobsales wife account, I think it has 2 collectibles and about 80 odd comics. Now, I would prefer them comics in the other one because we've got some great comics in there. But I am still trying to get out of that account so I can put it all into one Veveverse, one account. Even if it's costing me V's, I've actually started buying stuff off myself, I must admit. Sneakily, I must admit. I put a couple of things sneakily in the auction, put them as floor price, and then had a couple of bids myself, I must admit. I mean, as long as I'm paying the fees, right? As long as I'm paying the fees, you can't hurt me, right? But yeah, I didn't tell you that. Keep that secret, everyone. I do not want blacklisting, but please. But yeah, so from everything I gathered from yesterday, it's 10 times better, 100 times better than it was. No one's used their phones since. Collectibles, you can expand. So I can imagine there's a lot of stuff going to go up. Golden moments are going to go up. A lot of the animation collectibles are going to go up, especially the ones with the water, like the Rambo and stuff like that. I forgot about Rambo with his little waterfall. I mean, you see people in Veve expand the waterfall. I mean, if you can expand just the property of the waterfall, I mean, that's crazy. You can have Rambo underneath the waterfall now, right? Rambo underneath it rather than on top of it, baby. So yeah, I'm sorry to sound really excited, but from everything I listened to yesterday, they were excited. It sounded like bigger things to come. So anyway, I'm going off piece a bit here. I just thought I'd give you this quick video. The Lion King video is pretty much done, I think. I think it's pretty much done. I may need to do a bit more finessing in there, a couple of little gifs and stuff like that. But the history part is done. I think it's a 10-minute history. There is a lot in that history, so you are going to want to watch that one. And if you haven't heard of Kimber the Lion, you're about to. And you're going to be shocked at some of the side-by-side comparisons, what I actually found. Pretty crazy. So anyway, I will try and get the Green Lantern video. I'm probably not going to do the Star Wars one. Again, if you do want that, let me know. If you do want any other histories of any drops we've had previous, I mean, I don't mind doing that. And I really should start cutting some of the histories, because I normally do the history, then I do the drop after that, right? Drop article, drop details. Maybe most people come for the drop details, drop article, right? But again, I think they have actually started to come to my channel a little bit for the drop histories now. And I actually like doing them better that way. I feel like I'm providing more input, providing more details than most of the other community members. I'm not just reeling it off the top of my head, for instance. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. We've all each got our own style. But I like to try and do things properly, I must say. So yeah, the Lion King video should be good. I've actually avoided getting copyrighted at the beginning of that. I don't know how I've managed that, because yeah, you'll see when you see that video. I played a bit of the song in there, put a bit of clips in there. I'm surprised that is not copyrighted to right now. Literally crazy copyright. But no, it's absolutely running fine. And the video is going to be a quality video, I must admit. I might add some more clips to it. I might change a couple of bits yet. I'm having a hard time with the volume with this one, I must admit. All the things I'm having a hard time matching the volume. Normally don't have that. I mean, sometimes I have that problem on the ending sometimes, but I normally double check it right on the TV. Because I mean, I can do it on my laptop, I could do it on the PC and stuff. By the time I sent the video over to YouTube and then I actually play it from the TV, it then sometimes sounds different. Sometimes it sounds lower than it should be. And yet I've just listened to it on my PC and it sounds exactly right. I mean, yesterday I loaded a test run of that Lion King video, for instance. And I think from around 6 minutes in, it then lost all the footage. Now, I'm not sure how I can send the perfect video out, watch a perfect video that is saved, and then export it out, and then end up with 6 minutes of just blurriness. And it wasn't down to copyright, because I've not been copyrighted. So I'm not sure what happened there, what happened with that, whether that was my editor or what happened. It definitely weren't down to any of the images I put in there at the time, because at the time they were all my created images. So, well, not my created, but my put together, my half, my little strip in between, my little effects, my little lighting, all that sort of crap. I mean, you have to put a lot of that in. I'm actually turning into a copyright artist right now. Like, I can actually avoid most copyrights these days. So that's great. So anyway, I'm babbling on a bit again. I will try and get that other history out to you today. The Lion King one, I would say. Admittedly, I know it's early and stuff, but I think it was an exciting drop. I was excited for it, so I wanted to do it. It's one of my favourite films. Admittedly, 101 Dalmatians, baby. That is my favourite Disney film of all time. I like the old English accent from Roger in that. Pongo and Purdy. I mean, what a sweet love story. I mean, I can still see the Disney book, the original Disney book now, when they're standing in the archway watching the two owners get married, and you can see the two dogs holding hands like this, little heart shape between the two heads. Wicked, man, wicked film. So yeah, I'm bullish for 101 Dalmatians. Win 101 Dalmatians, man, you're killing me out here. So anyway, I've been your host, Bob Sales. Veveverse looks crazy, drops look crazy this week. Hopefully this has filled you in enough. I love you. I'm sorry if I look rough. It is like 9 o'clock. I did just do a night shift, so I'm sorry about that. Sorry if I sound rough, but anyway, I've been your host, Bob Sales. This time next year, we will be millionaires. And peace.
Hey, you gone, homie. I got this. This is done. You about to lose your car, partner.
Do it, Ron.
Come on, Pierce, you got it, man.
You think I'm worried?